All right, the watch is for Tuesday, September 25th. The SPY gap down, a little bit of a kind of hammer candle, but acting okay. Much lower volume today. I'm going to go into the watch. Well, wait a minute. A couple announcements. I want to remind everybody happy hours this Thursday. It's right at the closing bell. It's just talking stocks, having drinks, and having fun. And Wayne's actually put together a game. There's kind of a little hint as to what the game is. But it should be fun. And we're happy to take questions and stuff. Not selling anything, just hanging out, having drinks, talking stocks. So the link's down below this video. If you're watching it on YouTube or if you got it from the email, there'll be a link down there too. Or if you're looking at it on the webpage, there's a link there too. So just get registered and join us on Thursday right at the closing bell. The sad thing is the closing bell's at 4. That means I got to start drinking at like 3. So anyway, we'll see. Anything can happen on these happy hours. Also wanted to show this JONE. I mentioned over the mic, and look, it looks like paint splatter before it broke, right? This is normally something I would never call when it looks like this. But SAEX was ripping, and that is a low-priced oil play that had a recent reverse split. And so JONE popped in my memory from the other day. It was also a low-priced oil play that was doing pretty well after a reverse split. So called this over the mic, said, hey, this could work through 5 as a sympathy to SAEX. Now, again, normally I wouldn't call that because you can see how thin it was. But, man, it went crazy. It actually went to 670 from the 5 break, which was a pretty darn nice move. And teamwork in the chat room, still fantastic. I wanted to show this, too, because this flag here was forming. That's what NLST looked like. We had at least 3 people in the chat before it broke post. NLST worth watching for a 65 break by Matt Buffalo. NLST over 63 and 65 is yesterday's high. The reason that's relevant is here's the flag break, right? 63 cents was the early high today. Friday's high was 65 cents. That's why Buffalo typed that, because we always look for kind of flag break, inflection point breaks that on the chart has another catalyst just above, because I like those dominoes to fall. I like to be right away, and that is the crux of how I trade. I try to find entries like that, and that's what we teach in our room, and that's what we teach in our course, and that's why you see many members posting those same ideas. Many of them have taken the course and know exactly what we're looking for. So this was a great setup. Nice flag, 63 break, then just rips right through 65, which was Friday's high. Again, you hear me talk about it, stacked catalyst. There was another catalyst on the chart just above this flag break, and Melissa was also on it. So I just love the teamwork in our chat room, and you see it all the time. Day trading actually can be kind of a team activity. Here's what we're watching for Tuesday. AMRN, just a massive 162 million shares traded. It went out at its high. It's actually trading right now. I'm making this video shortly after the closing bell. It's 4:16. And right now it's trading at 1267. So it's just continuing this massive move in after hours, but a very strong stock. So we want to watch that one tomorrow. XON. Really big move today also, and closed fairly strong. So we'll see if we can get a red to green or something like that in that one tomorrow. CEI, a lot of these low-priced oil plays, kind of like that JONE I just showed you, went out on their highs or pretty close to it and had big volume days. So these are prospects. For one, as I said before the closing bell, these are prospects to run a little bit more in after hours, and then also worth watching for a trade tomorrow. So there's one of them, CEI. Very nice volume day and a very strong close. Another one, PED. Kind of the same scenario, very strong day. Former high flyers you can see back here. And a pretty strong close. GBR, same thing. Huge move back here. Not as strong of a close, all right? This one had a huge move today, but closed well off of its highs. Still want to watch it. TGC. Again, low-priced oil play, had a big strong move and a strong close. CRBP, this one I like. It had this big pop on, let's see, this would have been Thursday, then kind of a quiet inside day on Friday. And then today, we were looking at this through 7 and ended up going up to 730. It's a nickel spreader, but it's certainly an interesting chart because you had this big move. Now you've got an inside day on Friday, then another inside day today. I like it over today's high, 730 break. You look to the left and you have Friday's high just a nickel above that, which is one tick on a nickel spreader. So this is really coiled, and if it gets up over 730, over 735, maybe it tests the high of this big pop on Thursday. So a pretty good setup there. TLRY goes on Bounce Watch. It was on Bounce Watch today. Did give one setup, but I didn't see it in time. But had a really nice move, probably a $15 or $20 move from the setup. And a very similar setup was in NBEV, which I did call in chat, and I'll show you that in a second. But anyway, TLRY just goes back on bounce watch. It had this crazy move, which obviously was capitulation, but it literally has fallen from an intraday high of 300, 4 sessions ago, down to under 100 today. You could get a really nice snapback rally in this one with a proper setup. So that one's on watch. A couple more. ARLO, which I'm not in love with, although I love their product. But what is it, 5, 6, 7 days red in a row? It's a recent IPO back here, so there's no support on the chart. There's nowhere I can look and say, hey, I love this if it gets to this price. So what we do is just put it on a chart and see if we get an intraday setup for a bounce. Now, having said that, a bounce in something that's oversold like this, even if we get a setup, generally isn't going to be very powerful. So if I had to pull one off my watch list for tomorrow, it would be this one. And I'll contrast that with TLRY again that I just showed you. I didn't type that right. TLRY, the difference between this one and Arlo is, yes, this is down huge 4 days in a row, but that is after a monster move to the upside. So when you have this scenario, you have a much better chance if you get a low-risk setup and an upside break, maybe out of an opening range after an hour or so. You're much more apt to get a little short squeeze than you are on something like Arlo, which you could argue was never really very strong. IPO'd back here. It did take out its IPO highs here, but not with fervor. It didn't have much volume back there. So there's a big difference between these two bounce play setups, right? TLRY has the potential to be much more powerful than ARLO. So like I said, ARLO, my least favorite on the list. And then lastly, NBEV. And this one I like too. It's a little weird because had this huge move. I think they had an offering now, but it actually hit $9.99 and now today is in the threes. It actually, went down to 361. This is a pretty good candidate for a snapback bounce, even with the offering, but only with a low risk setup. And switching to 2-minute candles, I'll show you a setup that I like to trade. And let's go back to the daily real quick. So you had a huge move, then you had a big reversal. So coming into today, I already had this on watch. I didn't know what I was looking for. I said, I just know it's been a recent in-play stock. You had this big reversal, so I was kind of looking for an intraday bounce. And then I'll bring today's candle in, and you can see what happened. It opens all the way down here because of the offering. So the setup that I called, and I actually called this before the market opened, I said, hey, I like NBEV as a possible gap down bounce play setup. That's the weird name I've given this in our trading course. It's something that we're looking for a bounce anyway because they had a big red day the day before, but it's an in-play stock, right? And then it gaps down the next day. So what I look for, and there's no guesswork here, I look for the opening range, and I'm using 2 minutes here, to be fairly narrow, all right? It was 39 cents, which is crazy as this one's been. You could argue 39-cent range is fairly narrow. So now I'm interested if it breaks the high of the day, right? In other words, hits 470. But I didn't know where it was going to open. In pre-market, I just said, hey, let's watch this for a gap down bounce play setup. So we get the gap down, then we get an inside candle. And remember, I've already said I like this, like 4 minutes in, I already said I like this if it breaks the highs, if it gets over 469. So 470 entry idea, and I said I wouldn't risk more than 15 cents. So very clear and concise idea. There's another inside candle, and here comes the 470 break right there. And that's a 2-minute candle. So in 4 minutes, you're hitting 5, right? So a 30-cent move on a 470 basis. And it actually went to, the highest it got was, what, 526. But if you're a day trader, you understand that's a lot of money that can be made from 470 to 526 in about 8 minutes. So that's one of my favorite setups, but make sure that you understand that it has to be on a recent high flyer, or what we would call an in-play stock, and something that we're already looking for a bounce coming into a session, and then you get a gap down. If you get a narrow range like that after the gap down, I love the opening range break to the upside. So there's one of my favorite setups. I don't see them that often where I'm comfortable. And actually, Tilray, TLRY, is something that you could watch for that tomorrow if it gaps down, or today it gapped down and basically gave that same setup and gave a huge move, but I was focused on NBEV. Anyway, I'm done babbling. Check the links below for that lifetime special we've been talking about, and also the link for the happy hour. And there's another link there for all of our free webinars if you want to take some time and study. I'm done babbling. See you guys tomorrow.